Was popular YouTube, another day, another pick'em. And of course, if you were watching the last episode of the pick'ems, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 correct, along with the 03 here from the last stage. This one isn't going to be as fancy, of course. The last one, me and James Bardolph in our mansion in Italy on the balcony with a view of the cathedral, talking about who's going to get through the challenger stage. Now we move on to legends. Oops, spoilers. We're going to talk about who gets through. I'm not going to waste any of your time in this video. So first thing I want to do before this is talk about the first round matchups. So why don't we go ahead and check those out? And okay, of course, anime profile picture shirt still on sale. Plug in at store.box.gg. Let's take a look at the first round matchups. Video brought to you by Zone headphones. Best CO2 headphones on the market. Great for all day wear. Best active noise cancellation. Sorry. Okay, here we are. Navi versus gamerlegion. This is going to be Navi. 9 versus Liquid. My heart actually says 9. Furia versus Monty. Irrelevant to me in the 3003 personally, but it could be relevant to you. Bookmakers say Furia, just for note. Ninjas is bookmaker favorite, rivalry favorite. Heroic Phase, this is the match that flip-flops. Okay, so bookmaker matters somewhat, but this is, who knows? Heroic are one of the most consistent 3-0 teams, along with Navi in the past 4 majors, 3-4 majors, since Antwerp definitely. So hard to predict off this matchup. So they won't be my 3-0 or 0-3. Into the Reach Apex. Heaven only knows, but I don't understand. How did Into the Breach get into the Legends stage like this easily? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, Apex are a team I feel like are going to benefit from the challenger stage buff into the legend stage, but doesn't affect the 3003. So we're going to move on. Vitality G2, another tenuous matchup. I'm taking G2, but I'm not going to pretend that Zywoo and Spinks don't exist. They're coming off Rio. They look incredibly strong out of the RMR. They look really good, but I'm not going to say any of these matchups are irrelevant because Bad News Eagles Ence is the most disfavored matchup to the underdog, in this case, Bad News Eagles. And for this reason, that's going to dictate how my pick'em goes. Okay, so pay close attention. I think it's 4 odds right now for Bad News Eagles. I think if we look at any of these matchups, besides Navi, Ence and Bad News Eagles, not Navi and gamerlegion, for me, are the 2 matchups you need to pay attention to pick the correct 3-0 winner. Now, nothing's guaranteed after the first round. This is just the best information we have. You know, we've got seeding that's brought you FaZe versus Heroic. So depending on what upsets happen, things could go south. But the best bet that we can make is only off the information that we have. And that's that Ents are in a very good position to win their first game. So are Navi. But Navi, in my opinion, are in a better position to make it to the playoffs for sure. And Ents 3-0 the challenger stage. I think they could definitely 3-0 the legend stage. And they have a great first round to do it. So that's going to be the reason that I pick this. Okay, so we're starting off this one a little bit differently. Now I'm going to go from most likely to least likely to make it into the playoffs. And right now, I feel excellently about FaZe. I feel excellently about Heroic, even though one of these 2 teams will lose their first round. I think they only jeopardize another team's story. I feel excellently about G2. I feel excellently about NIP. None of these should be much of a surprise to anybody. When we go forward from this point, things, of course, get a little bit trickier. If I'm going to pick the teams to advance from here on out, Vitality, yes, Vitality won Rio, but no team this year has won 2 tournaments in a row. Spinks has been good recently. Uptick in form is great. Trending at the right time is great. But Spinks also had about 6 months between Pro League and Rio where we weren't sure how good he's going to be. Zywoo consistent. He's the best player in the world right now. Not quite enough by himself. Dupree as well. Overperformance at Rio compared to his last 2 years. I'm going to be realistic about this. They're 5th sort of on my list. Ents are higher than some of these teams here. All right, let's move on forward. Who else is going to break into the playoffs? So my short list right now is Liquid, 9, and Furia. All right. The problem I have with Furia is that they've changed their style so drastically coming out of the RMR that maybe it won't work versus some of these top teams. I'm not particularly sure I'm willing to make a bet on them at the moment. Liquid, yes, I know. We just saw what happened. They barely beat Fluxo. They got Greyhound. They had one of the easiest runs to Legends and still started 0-2 down. I know. They look fraudulent as fuck. But ultimately, Liquid will power up. They are going to be better versus some of the tier 1 teams. They still might not make it to playoffs, but if we're talking about stories right now, who wants it more? Who has wins versus some of these other rosters as a known quantity? Liquid do. Elige, NAF, Nitro, they haven't won the major. They got the Grand Slam. They are regularly making playoffs. This is a team that you can normally count on. And it's not necessarily about whether or not you think Liquid will make it. It's who else is going to replace them. I think there will be, probabilistically speaking, one team to sneak through into playoffs. For me, that's going to be 9. They have been a threat. They look excellent. I'm seeing nothing but solid signs so far. Of course, still capable of choking, but if there's one dark horse bet to get into top 8, it's going to be 9 for me. And that means that I'm leaving Apex out. I don't feel good about NiP. I don't feel comfortable looking at their challenger stage that they're quite there, even though they have been improving. gamerlegion may be satiated by the fact they got out of challengers. There's too many unknown players on this team for me. I understand Shuhei. I think some of the players played well in challenger stage, but that was really great to watch. It was fantastic. I'm not sure it stands up to the tier 1 competition. Monty are also on the short list though. I think there is a chance that they can make playoffs. They again have actually so many maps available to play that they can beat, teams like Liquid on. I think like head to head right now they just destroy Liquid, so there's an argument for Monty. They would also be on my short list. And then finally, Apex. Apex do look good. And I really respect how good Apex look. And I want to point that out. I think that Apex are a team that powered up through challenger stage and are smart enough to know how to keep the momentum. I really like their players. Good amount of veterans who have had experience in majors, as well as some players who are coming up and extremely hungry. Apex, I wouldn't be mad at you if you squeezed them in. For me, Fnatic had the easiest run at the RMR, the most unlikely to make it into the playoffs. Anything is possible. Their first round matchup is NiP, but I would take Furia over them. So for me, the next bet would be Furia after Liquid, 9, and then I would think about NiP, and then I would think about Apex. But for now, this is the pick'em that I'm going to lock in. Picks are updated. You need 5 to get through. You might be wondering, why is it that we would put ence in the 3-0 when there is a high chance they make it through, but not necessarily in the 3-0? And that's because I think I'm not going 9 out of 9 here, which is the 9 out of 9 movement that's going on. But I think it is fair to say that you could completely throw away your 3-0 with picking a team that doesn't have a favorable first round matchup at the moment. I think if you're not picking ence or Navi, all of the other matchups in the first round, unless you've got some cool analysis, are a little bit harder to call. And so I wouldn't want to waste the 3-0 on a first round that doesn't go right. So for me, ence play BNE, 4-1 odds, says people with the money, and people are way more careful with their money than they are with their words. I can understand why. ence look very strong out of challengers, good experience versus top teams. They will be warmed up versus BNE. This is a good matchup for them. I'll take them as 3-0. Things could end really badly right out the gate on round 1, but I'm willing to risk it on them. And I think that there's a chance that things go really weird here in the bottom 7 for everybody. So that might mean that you need to have extra outs for some of your other teams. So for me, the optional teams to put in here are Liquid or 9. The optional 3-0 for me is Navi. And G2, if you're feeling really crazy, but they're going to go up against Vitality in the first round. And then in place of Liquid and 9, you could have Monty, you could have gamerlegion, you could have Apex. Oops. Or you could have Furia. Furia wouldn't be crazy. They've got Caserado, maybe the best rifler in the world. It's something to think about. You let me know what you've got but these are the pick'ems that I've got locked in. Let's see if it's a diamond formula, boys. Into playoffs we go. Shaping up to be an excellent major after the challenger stage. Things could have got extremely crazy, but I think we might have a moment of respite here. We'll see if it's going to be true. Best of luck to everybody. Make sure to bully people who only get 4 picks correct here in Legends, especially if it's Pimp. And as always, you always have enough money to buy a deagle. Never forget that. Thanks for watching.